Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
Kind of sounded like Jim Carrey when he does the Milo.
Oh, jeez. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. This is David.
This is Salome.
And welcome to Something Old, Something New, the podcast where we choose two films, one old, one new, that have something in common. What that is depends on the film. And this episode is going to be about the...
Boobies!
Yes, boobies. Lots of boobies and lots of booties. And that is the 1995 release of Showgirls, directed by Paul Verhoeven, and written by Joe Esterhaus, who at the time became the highest paid screenwriter.
Really?
For Showgirls at that time, yep.
Oh.
And on the other hand, we've got the 2019 release of Hustlers, written and directed by Lorene Scafaria. And it's based off an article based on a true story.
I mean, it technically is. It was based on this article, I think, in 2012. I can't remember the full story about it. Did you look into that? Because I can't remember.
It's actually, to be honest, I didn't. My reason being is that when they are based on a true story, I do my very best to try to, for the most part, try to avoid it because I'm watching the movie and I know that not everything is going to be 100% accurate to the true story. And I know that if I look up what the true story is, I'm like, that didn't happen. No.
No, but here's the thing, though. That's what I think Hustlers did brilliantly, was the fact that I think they kind of showed the fact that you're not really going to get the true, honest story because you're interviewing the women that based on their experience with it and from their eyes, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that it showed that, yes, this may be based on a quote-unquote true story, but it's based on someone's...
recollection.
Okay. Yeah. So and I think the movie did a really good job at showing that as well.
Yeah. And so let's get off the bat. So why did we choose these two movies? Well,
boobies.
Boobies. Yes, they both concern when it comes to the life of a stripper, when it comes to Showgirls, like how to be at the top of the game, and it's like all the willings, dealings, the sexism, the backstabbing that the women would face, and how is it that these directors would go about it. Now, Paul Verhoeven it's just so fascinating that he did this movie because, before that, his three English language films were RoboCop and Total Recall and Basic Instinct. And two of those three films are, they're science fiction, big budgeted, over-the-top movies. And Basic Instinct, which was written by Joe Esterhaus, and it became a box office pop culture sensation. And so they get together for the 1995 release of Showgirls, and they're promoting it like, we're going to make this the first major released NC-17 film since Henry and June. Even a much wider release than that one.
Really?
Yeah, but when it came out, it became a box office and critical bomb. Is considered.
Well, no duh.
Yeah, it went on to win and even though I'm not a big fan of their organization, but it went on to win 7 Razzie Awards, including Worst Picture, Worst Director, and Worst Actress for Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah, I feel so bad for her because this is pretty much the movie that killed her career, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it got so bad that the story goes is that her agent was like, we're gonna let you go.
And you know what's even funnier is the fact that even their stars were ashamed of the movie, like Kyle MacLachlan.
I
can't say his name.
Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah, he played the male lead in the movie, pretty much.
With the Hitler haircut.
The Hitler haircut. Whatever. If anyone can make it work, it's him.
But to be fair, Verhoeven did have to deal with Nazism, seeing them march the streets. So it's one of those where it's like, you take this chauvinistic pig and give him a Hitler haircut. Makes sense.
Yeah, actually, honestly, if you're going to go down that route, it does really make sense for his character. That he will charm you, he will make you do whatever you want, but once he's done with you, you're trash.
Yeah.
So it's like, he actually said when he watched the movie, because there was rumors saying that he walked out of the premiere.
Yeah.
And what he said, he's like, oh no, I sat there and suffered for the whole 2 hours. It's like, and that's really sad because it's, what's really funny? Out of all of the actors in that movie, I feel that he was the best. Like, no matter how bad the movie was, him and, what's her name? Gina
Gershon as Crystal.
Yeah. Oh, God. I freaking love her. And I think she's one of actually, both of them are the only reasons why I really, really enjoyed the film. Because they understood that this wasn't just a typical movie.
Yeah.
So it's like...
So let's actually get the plots out of the way. What are they concerned with? With Showgirls, we follow Nomi Malone, What a name. And in this essentially all about Eve with strippers, that is Naomi Malone is hitchhiking her way to Los Angeles, but she makes a stop at Las Vegas. And through the wheelings and dealings, she finds herself at a strip joint called Cheetahs, and then finally she's auditioning to be a dancer in this lavish production. I think it's called Goddess, if memory serves.
Yeah, it was.
And she ends up like going back and forth between her and character Crystal, played by Gina Gershon, and we just follow her through the backstabbings and all of the bullshit that she has to be subject herself into, the sexism, violence and such. And in the case of Hustlers, we are following the story of Constance Wu's character Destiny, and how she and fellow strippers suffer the fallout from the 2008 crash. And because of that, they have to figure out, okay, how do we make money from this? And what they do is they indeed hustle these Wall Street executives who are running away with all of our money and such. And by taking the money from that, by getting them drunk or high off of this concoction that they created. And that's how they're able to go get the money. They end up charging out and I don't curse, but I got it this time, they charge out the ass.
That's
their credit card bills. For me,
That's
yeah.
so sweet. I love you.
And so by the end of the night, they've charged like $50,000.
Oh yeah, it's pretty
for
much
one
that
customer.
Yeah, like honestly, like one line just pretty much says it best. Like, screw me and I'll screw you too. Like that was their mentality. Like these men, they screwed over millions of people. They're on Wall Street, and they made. The recession happened, yet they're able to still live their life with their money, and we're over here dying pretty much,
And you can pretty much tell where basically where the film is coming from, because the producers on the film, two of them, are Will Ferrell and Adam McKay. Yes, those two same men who worked on Anchorman and Talladega Nights, the other guys, and Adam McKay has gone on to make more serious fare like the Big Short, and also he did Vice, both Oscar-nominated films. In the case of The Big Short, it nabbed Adam McKay an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. But Adam McKay is known for tackling Wall Street, and because in particular, if you watch the end credits of the other guys, he tells like all of the crimes that these people would commit, and how they're taking all this money to make their pockets fatter, their wallets fatter, while we, the working class, have to endure our trials and tribulations while they go get rich. America. Now, the thing is, when it comes to both movies, it's safe to say that we definitely prefer Hustlers over Showgirls. And the one main reason I think that goes into it is because of the fact that in the case of Showgirls, it's two men behind it, Paul Verhoeven, the director, and Joe Esserhaus, the screenwriter. But in the case of Hustlers, it's one voice, director and writer Lorene Scafaria. And not just that, but in our research and finding through various interviews and such, that Lorene actually said that she allowed the actresses to improvise.
Yeah, not only improvise, but they really had a say in their characters and how they were portrayed, because especially with the costumes, like the attire and stuff.
Yes.
And that's something really important to say, because like it's one thing when a man here's the thing though, like I don't believe that you have to be a woman to understand a woman's perspective. However, you if you're going to be a man writing about a woman's perspective, make sure to get a woman's perspective, Yeah. So it's like the fact that these women, like, they understand their characters, and they're able to tap into this place where they're like, you know what? They would dress this way because they're in this certain economy, or they're dealing with this stuff, like in Constance Wu's character. She's in the beginning of the movie, a young woman living with her grandmother, and she's trying to pretty much her and her grandma survive. Like she's giving her all her money, and she needs to make better money. She's like, okay, so this woman doesn't have enough money. It's set during 2007 at this point, I believe. She's like, she's most likely going to dress like this. She's super innocent. So at home, she's only be wearing something like this, and it's going to be like really bad stripper shoes or platforms. I can't remember exactly what the term was, but because I know they're not called stripper shoes, it's a different term. But like, because she doesn't have
Stilettos, maybe?
No, it starts with a P. I can't remember. I can't remember, but like, because she doesn't have enough money, and they actually do reference this in the movie, that she's not going to have the best quality stripper shoes. And there's one cute scene that's very, very quick, but like It's when J-Lo is teaching Constance Wu how to pole dance, and she actually
it's one of my
mentioned
favorite scenes.
Yeah, I love that scene, and we'll get back to that one because it's something about like how women are portrayed in friendship. But she even mentioned, she's like, you know what, we're gonna have to get you better shoes. Like we can tell these are shitty. Like you're not gonna be able to do what you need to do in the pole with those shoes, you know. So it's like having women be able to say what they're able to wear. Now, in contrast to Showgirls, it's what a man thinks a woman should wear to be sexy. And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It does not work. So, like, who are you appealing to? Are you going to just appeal to the men who visually just want to see the girls shake their tits? Then fine, you did a successful movie. But no, that wasn't the point of this movie. And it ruined it.
Yeah, and the thing with Showgirls is that you can make a point of, like, well, because the thing is, Joe Esterhaus and Paul Verhoeven did a lot of research that they doing some research into this project.
It doesn't show.
And it doesn't exactly show. But the thing is, I'd argue is like, because you said like from a male's perspective, and that is the argument could be made with Showgirls that the main problem that these women would have to face is that they're being told what is to be sexy through these powerful men and what they think is sexy and what have you. But the other thing to it is that we don't get to know truly the characters. Like, for example, Nomi Malone we hear and we see to varying levels of dance that she is an accomplished dancer.
Whatever. I'm not gonna say nothing about that.
But the thing is that we don't get a hint or a sense of why is it that she likes to dance. We never get that moment of like maybe it's escapism or maybe it makes her feel powerful. We don't get that sense of it. But in the case of Hustlers, we definitely get that sense. Like the introduction to Jennifer Lopez's character, Ramona, I believe is her character name.
It so much.
It's one of the best character introductions. She comes on the stage set to Fiona Apple's Criminal, and
so sexy.
Yeah, and how she owns the stage, but through her dancing and such, and it's just it rains dollar bills. It truly does all over the place.
Well, here's the thing,
controls
though, like,
that audience.
Exactly. That's what the main point was, that the way they introduce her character, it's like it shows that yes, she's a stripper.
Yeah.
Yes, men are here to see me for my body, but guess what? I'm the one in control, and I know how to use my sensuality to get to your wallet. And that's beautiful. And they didn't show that in Showgirls. And like the only indication that we got that, you know, that she loved to dance was that when she was screaming at someone else going, I'm a dancer. Like that's, I'm like, okay, bitch, good for you. I'm a dancer too. Look at me twerk. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, and then when she, like, the first indications when she did that weird John Cena, like, wave in front of her face. Like, I don't know what, like, John Cena. Like, that's all I kept thinking about. Like, okay, Zach, how are you going to show me that she's a dancer? Yeah. Oh, no, wait, no, you're going to show me that she's a dancer at that club when she's acting like she's freaking having a fit. And, like, I never understood, okay, so you're a dancer, so you came to Vegas to be a stripper, or did that just happen? I'm confused.
Well, she was there because the plan was for her to go to L.A., but she made a stop. I think it was that Vegas, or he was going to LA, but then they made that stop in Vegas, and of course the guy that she was hitchhiking with drove off with all of her stuff, and then she started attacking that girl's car, and then the girl's like, you can live with me. That is the nicest girl in the world.
Okay, and we'll get to that in a bit because I'm so angry at that. But like the introduction, okay, so now that you mentioned that introduction, let's talk about the introductions to friendship in both of these movies, because both of them have a lot to do with God, I was about to say women empowerment, but that only applies to one of these movies, which is Hustlers, by the way. If you guys don't obviously already, you can tell how I feel about this movie. But like, it's both about women friendship and how the ups and downs of it all, and like how it can be catty, but also at the same time very warming and very inviting, and just like. But anyways, so in the very beginning of Showgirls, we get introduced to Nomi's friend, and what was her name? Do you remember?
Does she have a name?
Oh my God, that is so true. That's so sad. But anyways, like her character, like she's introduced to Nomi
it's Molly.
Molly, okay. Nomi's introduced to Molly.
Well, the way she was dancing, she certainly was introduced to Molly.
I honestly think she was. But like
Flopping like a fish.
This was one of the most random fucking introductions that I have ever fucking seen. First of all, Nomi's beating up this poor girl's car. She's having a freaking fit, like no one's fucking business. And the girl runs to her, she's like, hey, this is my car. And they start pushing each other. And then And then she starts crying.
And then she collapses on the car.
Collapses on her, I think. It's kind of like, whatever, and starts crying. So then this sweet Molly takes her to get a burger.
In a big soda.
In a big ass soda, which, I mean, whatever, it's Vegas. Mostly it would have been margaritas. But anyways, and then she's like, well, you can live with me. And okay, so that's how the fucking friendship started? Cool. And then now in Hustlers, when Constance Wu and J-Lo's character first meet, it is kind of random. It's very instant.
On top of the rooftop. Where J-Lo's going for a smoke.
Yes. So, and this was right after Constance saw J-Lo dance on stage. So that's how we instantly see that Constance wants to be J-Lo, wants to have what she has, which was amazing. Again, it adds so much to the introduction of this character to show that she's wanted by everyone, man or woman. It doesn't even have to be sexual. You just want what she has, you know? But anyways, so J-Lo's on top of the rooftop and she's smoking, and Constance Wu comes out and she's like, can I have a smoke or whatever? And sits down right in front of J-Lo, and J-Lo enwraps her in her fur coat. And you will say this
it's New York City and
it's New York City and it's hella cold, yeah. Which normally people would think what the hell? That was quick. But there was this sort of sweetness to it, and instantly can see that J-Lo's character, Ramona, has this motherly instinct that she's going to take care of her. And she's like, you know what? Us women in this industry, in this life, we have to stick together.
Yeah.
So let me take you under my wing and let me help you.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Showgirls was trying to do that with Molly and Nomi. But it was nah, bitch. First of all, this is Vegas.
It felt more plot driven as opposed to character driven. You gotta have to do that because we gotta go over there, as opposed to feeling natural.
And that was the whole issue with Showgirls, that everything was plot driven but not character driven. And it's so frustrating because I love movies that show powerful women, even whether evil or not. It doesn't matter. Women are not just gonna be flat out catty or just flat out innocent and sweet. We're obviously very layered creatures, men and women. We're humans, or we are very layered. So it's Hustlers showed that beautifully. Showgirls just was very one-dimensional. You know?
Yeah, and when it comes to introductions, let's actually take a quick detour into film grammar.
Film grammar of the day.
Yep, and that is and as you've seen, if you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, that's at SOSN Podcast. We talked about the Kuleshov effect and how it was going to be referenced in our episode today, Showgirls and Hustlers. And that is the Kuleshov effect is a little experiment done, short film of you would see a shot of a bowl of soup, and then it would cut to a man with a blank expression on his face. Then you'd see a child in a coffin, cuts to the same exact man with the same exact expression. Same thing, woman lying down on a couch, I believe, cuts back to him. And so what it is, it's presenting this idea of, even though it's the same exact shot, what you do is you show the bowl of soup, you cut to the man, he's hungry. You show the child in the coffin, you cut to him, he's sad. You show the woman on the couch, cut to the man, he is now lustful. Or as Hitchcock did a better job of it on the Dick Cavett show, is using James Stewart from Rear Window, is you have Jim Stewart, you have a shot of him looking, and then it cuts to a woman nursing a baby. Then it cuts back to Jimmy Stewart and he's smiling. You have now established that Jimmy Stewart is a benevolent gentleman. But let's say we remove the middle shot and we put in a girl with a bikini. So it's Jimmy Stewart looks, cuts to the woman in the bikini, cuts back to him smiling, and now he's a dirty old man. So how it's used in the films is the introduction that Nomi has with Crystal, and how the introduction with Destiny with Ramona in Hustlers.
They're both the same.
Yeah, you're both there looking, and they look and they cut to the subject dancing, what have you, and then it cuts back to their reaction. And it's just funny how with Hustlers, it's done in such a beautiful, evocative way that Constance Wu is like, I want what she has.
It was a look of lust. Yeah, it was a look of lust,
Yeah.
but not so much sexual lust.
Yeah.
It was just lust for what she has,
Yeah.
that power, you know?
And in Showgirls, it's
John Cena.
she does the hand she does. And also the dance itself is a bit, because here's the thing, when it comes to Las Vegas shows and what have you, I plead ignorant when it comes to what the shows were like in the early 90s, but I don't think that kind of show would fly nowadays. It would be like this, the choreography is a bit silly, you know?
Well, yeah, but I mean, back in the day, I guess they're trying to show that this is a very, elaborate, prestigious show. I didn't get the sense of that. It felt like it was probably like one of those shows that you get from the shitty casinos on the side of the strip, not really on the strip. But whatever, to each their own.
Yeah.
So
I was also thinking of like when it came to the shot at Showgirls, like let's do the experiment where you have Nomi looks and she sees Gina Gershon dancing and then cuts back to her doing, you know, with her hands and such. Like, what if we take out the middle part and what would you put in that would be even funnier?
I'm gonna put John Cena doing the same move.
Doesn't John Cena doing the "you can't see me" and her going, and then getting to "you can't see me" fight.
Guys, please, whoever's listening, if you have the skills to do that, please make that video and please tweet it to us at SOSN Podcast or Instagram, because I really want to see this. This would freaking make my day.
It would be.
Oh God.
But that's like when it comes to like the directors and how they're able to handle it. And that is with Paul Verhoeven, to the best of our knowledge, well, he actually said, in my opinion, it's actually a funny, wonderful thing. Like, I highly recommend, if you ever want to see Paul Verhoeven, like see Paul Verhoeven give an interview. He is an engaging interviewee. He is very smart, very funny guy. And when he was describing how he made Showgirls, he said he wanted to go for a hyperbolic style, and that is over the top, which is over the top acting, over the top visuals, so with the lighting and over the top camera movements and such, and over the top music. That's what he wanted to go for. And with Lorene Scafaria, what she did, and bear in mind, she's working off her screenplay, she allowed her actresses, and if anything, I am reminded very much of what Martin Scorsese would do with his actors, and also like how the film is very reminiscent of Scorsese in the early 90s, like Goodfellas or, you know, Casino, to use an example.
Yeah.
But she allowed her actresses to improvise, and to improvise with each other, so in that way they get a better handling on the characters and such. And the problem, I think, with Showgirls mainly is that they stick so close to Joe Esterhouse's script that when there's some pretty kind of cheesy lines and moments that pop up, and believe you me, Showgirls is like the king or queen of cheesy dialogue. It is so silly and over the top.
And one of our favorite lines, and it's so freaking offensive and stupid at the same time. But however, it kind of like, I will appreciate it in the sense of the ignorance that was back in the day, even now, like when it comes to this subject. But one of the guys, I forgot his name.
Everybody's got AIDS and shit.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't even say it.
Yeah, and one of the...
it was, here's the thing though, like before we move on forward with that, but like it was so out of place in that scene that I like, it felt like someone, like, you know, the script was finished and then like a teenager grabbed the script and started reading it and started crossing out certain lines and wrote stuff like that. I was like, where the hell did that come from? Okay. Yeah. Like, everybody's getting AIDS and shit. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Like, are you just trying to say not to become a hooker? Like, is that what you're trying to say?
Man, everybody's got AIDS and shit.
It's like, I don't get it.
And the thing is that, and the other thing is that at the end of the day, we will recommend everybody, please go see Showgirls, because it is worth watching. And also, quite frankly,
we were never bored. We were never bored watching it.
It's never a boring film.
I was pissed off, but I was never bored.
Yeah, and we'll get to the reason why
in a bit,
how offensive it is. But the thing is that I was riffing throughout the movie, so it'd be like something like, oh man, everybody's got AIDS and shit, or it's like he just found out everybody's got AIDS and shit. That's like it's one of those movies where it becomes quotable, but for all the wrong reasons, because if you're basing it off the interview, especially Joe Esterhouse, when he complained about how
his character's name was James. Oh my God, yeah.
James. But how it was promoted, where Joe Esterhouse wanted this to be a serious film, but they were promoting it as this sexy erotica romp, and that's not what he wanted to go for. He wanted, this is a serious film. But
the way you shot it, here's the thing though, because like you mentioned that he wanted to shoot it over the top, and like he was even talking about how he wanted it to be animated, and that, like, when I heard that, I was like, you know what, I can now see it. Like, I can appreciate it for what he's trying to do. But then if that's how you were trying to do it, then you chose the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe actually, and this is where it might have been ahead of its time, because I don't know how many movies have been like this, but like this kind of movie, but in animation, it would get away with that kind of dialogue. It would get away with the overacting. It would get away with all that stuff. Yeah. And I don't know if it's more prevalent in different like countries, that kind of acting or that kind of like style. But in America, I don't really see that. Well, at least back in the day, I didn't really see that really working. Actually, even now, I don't really see that kind of mesh still working. You know, you can't have it be satirical. Well, like, even though that wasn't the intention, it feels like you were trying to make something satirical, but also very serious at the same time that we know other movies have done, but everything just wasn't working.
Yeah, it's because the thing is that, I mean, while watching the film, it just hit me that there are two characters in the film that were the nightclub owner you have of Robert Davies' character Al Torres and Lynn Tucci as, you know, Mama Bazoom. And
I love her. She's like,
and the thing is that those two characters, and also let's give credit to Mama Bazoom. She went on to go star in supporting role in Orange is the New Black, and she's a lot of fun. And in this movie, she is fun. But here's the thing: those two characters feel like they came out of like RoboCop. Or Total Recall. Like, if you were to tell me those were two characters, like, let's say they owned a strip joint that was like promoting illegal prostitution, I could see Peter Weller and RoboCop going, "Freeze, scumbag," and them, you know, doing something funny to her, going, "Oh yeah, we'll take this," and then there's like guns.
Yeah,
I could see that happening. They feel like characters from that movie, but
it works because they're robots. They're not really humans. You're not trying to
no, they'd be people. But but the thing is, in the world of RoboCop,
in the world of RoboCop, that's what I'm saying.
There's so many characters that are indeed over the top. That's the style. But with Showgirls, it doesn't mesh because you have these moments where there's the ice cube sequence. Basically,
I love those scenes.
Yeah, all the scenes where it involves, like, you know, the behind the scenes stuff of like, okay, like getting the choreography down and learning how to dance and the stuff that
the
they have
behind
to
the
go
scenes
through.
footage for the actual dancers before the show got us.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that stuff is really fascinating to me. And so the moment where she's being degraded on stage, where they're telling him that you have to take the ice cubes and rub them on your nipples to become hard,
but
it's
here's
degrading.
Not only that, but it's like, it's not as simple as just saying like, oh, they had to do this. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, if you don't even want to watch the movie, I highly suggest watch those scenes, the ones that take up on stage, like behind the scenes, because I feel that the tone, what he was trying to do, that was a beautiful blend right there. Like, at first it's like, oh, okay, but then it starts becoming, like you said, very degrading. But it's one of those ones that it's like, it's not super dragged out, but it's dragged out enough for you to feel the uncomfortable feeling that the women would feel when they're there.
Yeah.
And how low they feel, like, okay, so we truly are just bodies to you. Not just to you, but to the audience, to everyone else. But you're working your ass off behind the scenes to make, like, in their eyes, art. But no, we need your nipples hard.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like something like, what the fuck? And I honestly got chills at that scene. Like if you take everything else away, you just break down that one scene.
Yeah.
It was, I don't want to say beautiful, because, I mean, what's happening is actually horrible. But it was done so well that that was, honestly, I'm not even kidding you, David, that was the only time I ever connected with a character in that movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And then it's like you have that, and then you marry it with Mama Bazoom, where it has like honk honk sound effects, and you're like,
no, literally, there is a sound effect, guys. Like, you don't even know.
Oh, and then or like, you know, the chimps running in, and there's chimp poop on the stage and all that, and you're like,
that was so random, because I thought it was gonna lead to something else. Because when they mentioned it, I was like, okay, maybe it's like in passing. But then there's this, like, and I don't know if it was like she slipped because she's just not a good dancer, or she slipped on the monkey poop.
It could also be nerves, because remember she was doing she was getting ready for the show, and then her debut was later that evening.
Yeah, no, but like the part when they mentioned about the monkey poop on stage as they were running up, and then you see her character slip. It's like, so I'm guessing it was implied that she slipped on the shit. Yeah. But it's like, okay, but then nothing else happens that has to do with the monkey poop.
Yeah.
And we're like, then why the hell was it mentioned to begin with?
Yeah.
Like, what is the fucking point?
And then you look at Hustlers and what Lorene Scafaria does, and that is when it comes to a consistency of tone.
Yes.
The thing is with Showgirls is that Paul Verhoeven keeps going back and forth between his satirical sensibilities that are evident in Total Recall and RoboCop, but then also wanting to do something more dramatic and more serious, and it just doesn't mesh. But when you take a look at Hustlers, yes, it does have this, you know, there is a comedic tone to it in the sense that, you know, these girls are getting away from it, but it's very similar. And like, to best describe it, the tone of the film is very similar to Goodfellas. And that is, Goodfellas is very funny, but when the drama hits, and it hits hard, but it doesn't feel like it's in conflict with the rest of the story. So it's like...
Here's the thing, though. Like, you know what Hustlers did beautifully, and we mentioned this, that Showgirls didn't, is that a lot of the things that was happening, not only was it to move the plot along, is also to show another side of the character.
Yeah.
Like there's this one scene where like it was starting to get a little bit serious about like the reality of what they're actually doing, how it affects other people. So like Destiny, she got a call. Constance Wu's character. She got a call by one of the men that she scammed, and he's like, you know, very heartbroken. He's like, "Come on, I have a family. Like, I'm getting married. Like, or I can't remember
Well,
exactly."
he was divorced.
Or he was divorced, but he had a little kid, right? It was something like
Yeah.
that. But like, he was giving the story, like, and you as a character, as the audience, you're like, "Oh shit, that kind of sucks." Like, you're actually like, you got somebody who like has a heart. He's not like an asshole, and like you can see Constance kind of like. Destiny kind of like starting like, oh shit, you know? And then you see Ramona, she's like, hang up, baby. Like, hang up. You don't need to talk to him anymore. But Destiny's like, no, you know, so she defies Ramona. And then Ramona gets up and like starts fighting her for the phone and kind of throws Destiny to the floor. And then she just turns around. She's like, you ungrateful little bitch. And then like walks off. And it's like, you just sit there in shock, just like Destiny. You're like, what the fuck? Up to this point, we see this woman who has been motherly, who has been has not only been a mother to them, but also a sister and a friend and a companion, a protector. You know, someone who has taught them to empower themselves. Call her an ungrateful little bitch, and you see another side. So that not only does that drive the plot along to see what's truly going on, it also shows you another side of Ramona's character, that it's not all sunshines and rainbow, guys, and now
it hurts.
And it hurts. And it also helps Destiny's character go along to see that, hey, she's not oblivious anymore. She's starting to see what's going on. And in Showgirls, like everything that was going on is just to move the plot along.
And everyone's an asshole.
Which, here's the thing though, I don't have a problem with that. Sometimes, I'm sorry, like life isn't black and white. Everyone is an asshole at one point. We all have the capability to be an asshole. So I actually loved that about Showgirls, that there's no really good person here except Molly, who was screwed over at the end.
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that now or later?
Actually, you know what? It's because I don't want us to forget. It's best to tackle this. And that is, when it comes to the consistency of tone, is I want to bring up a couple big heartbreaking moments in Hustlers. When the crash occurs and she's doing everything she can for money, she goes back to stripping Destiny.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where it's been revealed that they are essentially prostituting themselves. And this guy goes, "I'll give you $300
for a blowjob."
Yeah. And then it cuts, because the style of Hustlers is done in where it goes back and forth between the past and
the interview, where the actual article happened. Yeah.
And what happens is she reveals to the interviewer that that when she saw the money, it was 320s, and that look on her face of this utter humiliation and guilt that she had to subject herself to. Another thing is that throughout the film is we find out that Destiny was abandoned as a child, that she has this recurring nightmare about being in the car and she's not in control of the wheel.
Yeah, there's no one at the wheel. Yeah.
And that she sees her mother, I believe, drive off. And how at the end, when she gets arrested, that she's in the back of the car and now she's in that same position. So it's when those emotional cues hit, they hit hard.
Yeah.
Now, let's compare that to Showgirls in this, probably the really most offensive scene in the entire film. And what was that scene, Sally?
So towards the end of the movie, Nomi, like she did all this bullshit to become the star or whatever. You know what? Like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So then her friend, like in the beginning, it's insinuated that her friend knows what Nomi did.
Yeah, Molly.
Molly hates her for it. She's like, you know what? You're just like the rest. That's just greedy bitch that doesn't like care about anyone else. But then Nomi's like, well, your favorite pop star is going to be there. Come with me. Come on. So
Andrew Carver.
Yeah. So Molly's like, okay. So they end up going to this party, and Nomi introduces Molly to Andrew, and Molly's like, oh my God, I get to see my favorite pop star, whatever. So she has a drink with him or whatever. And he leads her into the bedroom, and then two other men show up, and she's like, what's going on? They close the door and they proceed to hit her really hard and rape her. And we're like, okay. And this is like, the first time I saw this part of this movie, I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. Like, I mean, what the fuck, but let's see where this goes. So, like she gets raped, and then like, what's her name? Oh my God. Nomi. Oh, Nomi gets her moment out, like a different scene or whatever. And then Nomi sees Molly run out or slowly walk out of the bedroom or down the stairs, and she collapses. You see, like there's blood running down her legs, and it's something very graphic. And I'm actually, in different circumstances, I would have been happy that this was shown, because rape sometimes is depicted very weirdly in movies that doesn't show the true horror and the true trauma that happens because of it. And that scene, at a place is I thought was fine. But then what happens afterwards, I was so offended that like the reason why she was raped was no reason at all. It's just to drive the plot along, to show that Nomi is like, I'm gonna kick this guy's butt. So she goes visit Andrew at his place or whatever, his condo. I don't fucking know where he lives. I don't give a shit.
He lives in a hotel because they made a part. Because the thing is that the hotel Stardust made a partnership with him to be an exclusive player. You're right.
And actually that there's a big reason why that's important. But like, so she goes in there, like, oh no. So the friend gets raped. They're at the hospital, and then Kyle's character, I forgot his name now too. Zach. So Zach comes, and then Nomi's like, okay, where's the police? And Zach's like, we're not gonna call them. And Nomi's like, bullshit, I'm gonna call them. And then he's like, not if you want them to find out the truth. And it's like, it turns out that Zach found out Nomi's past, that she was a prostitute, and then like she was a drugs, and she was running away from her past. And we're like, okay. So she runs off, kicks the guy, Andrew's ass in his hotel room, and goes back to the hospital. And then she's like, I kicked his butt for you. And then she fucking leaves to LA. Yeah. That's it, guys. That is it. You know what happens? The guy's never charged. Whatever his name is, Zach. Yeah. Zach pretty much said, well, he makes us a lot of money, and we have a mutual understanding. We'll give money to Molly. Like, we'll give her a good severance package or a good settlement package or whatever. And that was it. And again, in any other circumstance, if this was like maybe in the middle or beginning of the movie, I would have been like, holy fuck, you're gonna show just how harsh and how horrible this world is. But not only showing it to the end of the film and never even just saying shit, anything afterwards, and just this was the only reason for her to just show some boobies while kicking some guy in the face, and then just leave to LA feeling completely satisfied and with this fucking smug look on her face, while she leaves her friend who was raped behind in the hospital, and you're never gonna fucking see her again or let her know what happened. That's it, guys. That's fucking it. I was so mad that it's like the only innocent character, and the director actually mentioned this, and he pointed it out, that the only innocent character in this movie, the one who actually had common sense, was a horrible thing that happened to her.
Yeah, but she was a thinly written character.
Exactly, and that's the problem. If I overall like the idea of that the only innocent character gets screwed over. I do actually kind of like that idea. But like you said, not only was the character written horribly, the movie was written horribly, and the way this was put into the movie was horrible. There was no fucking point to it. You could have just had Nomi have something else happen where she makes a big comeback and like screws people over, or God, you guys could have gone down a different route and been like, hey, she found papers that shows that they're hiding money from the IRS or whatever, and she gives it to the police, and she like leaves to LA happy because Kyle or whatever, Zach, whatever his name is.
Let's call him Adolf.
Adolf. Okay, yeah, like Adolf gets like fucking arrested, and that's it, guys. You guys could have done that instead. But why show this graphic rape scene to not even really acknowledge it later?
And that goes into a criticism of Joe Esterhaus, and that is that Roger Ebert in particular was pretty harsh against Esterhaus, not only in the Siskel and Ebert episode on Showgirls, but his written review. And that is, he was convinced that with Esterhaus is that there is some kind of thing he has with women, and that is that women are to be brutalized, or they're raped, or they're conniving and mean, but you might get to have sex with them, and that they're into lesbianism and all that. And
it's like, that was another thing that I was like, okay. Yeah,
it's just,
I was so mad at this because like in the very beginning there was weird random gay jokes thrown in there that had nothing to do with anything. Where like when Molly and Nomi were first introduced together, and they're sitting at the table while she's eating a hamburger, and then Molly's like, you can come live with me, and And Nomi's like, what? Are you hitting on me or something? And then Molly's like, nah. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just straight. And then Nomi's like, okay. And that's it. I'm like, okay, that has nothing to do with anything. And then you show Crystal's character, which here's the thing though. The only reason I'm okay with Crystal's character is because the actress herself just knew what kind of movie this was.
Yeah.
That it's campy. Like, it's like not meant to be taken seriously. So she went over the top and it worked because the actress herself knew. And so it's like, and she kind of had this whole like thing for Nomi throughout the whole movie, like sexually. Like she even took her Kyle's character to the strip club because in the movie they were boyfriend and girlfriend or just lovers. I don't know what their relationship was. Lovers, yeah. So she takes Crystal takes Zach or whatever the hell his name is. Oh my god,
it's Zach.
It is Zach. Okay, she takes Zach to the strip club to see Nomi dance on the pole, and you can see that Crystal's mostly really into her. And then she buys Zach a private lap dance with Nomi, which is. I don't know about y'all.
Which is on the one hand, it is physically impressive in terms of her core strength.
Oh my
but she
God.
looks like she's having a fit.
Here's the thing, though, guys, and now doing the difference between Hustlers and Showgirls is that when they showed the lap dances, when they showed the dancing, women were not just objects in Hustlers, but in Showgirls they were. When you're dancing, you're just an object, which. I get it. Men, sometimes in strip clubs, men just see you as an object. And that's completely understandable and it makes sense. However, with how you're trying to write the movie, it's not fitting. It's not fitting, you know? And it's like, and it doesn't feel like it was done on purpose. It feels that it's just because of the writers just didn't have good material to write them well. You know, like, it didn't feel like on purpose. In Hustlers, it was very... very prominent that it was these women, yes, they're using their bodies, but they're the ones in control because they know, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. God, this movie exhausted me.
Yeah, but and the thing is it goes back with Hustlers, and that is I mean, Lorene Scafaria's voice, a female voice, I mean, it was needed. And also the other thing is, like, you know, Showgirls are expecting it to be a big Oscar, trying to make it to be an Oscar movie, no joke. And now we got Hustlers, you know, rumors about it, the Oscar buzz going about that, especially Jennifer Lopez's performance. But the thing is that at the end of the day, Lorene Scafaria and the job that she does as a director, the fact that how we're able to get to know the characters and how we're able to follow their story and such, and that her voice helps so much because Showgirls is seen ultimately through a masculine point of view. With Hustlers, it's seen through a female point of view, a feminine point of view. And it's one of those where that's what was needed. With Showgirls, it felt exploitive. It felt like more of an idea of what this is. But with Hustlers, it feels more like this is what it is. This is what you experience. And it's more intriguing and involving.
And it's funny that you like when you say it out loud, how like, you know, Showgirls, it's from a male perspective. It sounds intriguing to me. I'm like, okay, let's see what, like, you know, seeing a movie like that from a male point of view would be interesting. But then that means the protagonist isn't Nomi. It would be a man. Yes. Right?
Yeah.
And that's how it feels like.
Actually, that was one of the things that I remember we talked about, and that is the protagonist of the film, and that is... in the cheetah scene, we are introduced to a new stripper. Her name is Hope, but her real name is Penny.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I was thinking, I was contrasting that with Constance Wu's character in Destiny, because Destiny is very similar to Hope. And that is, Hope should have been the protagonist. That idea of more of an innocent character. So that way, when you can bring her into it and you introduce her to all the concepts in stripping, which is what happens with Destiny, which is we go back to this beautiful scene where we see two pole dances. We see the one introduced to, which is brilliant, of her like in her element dancing to Criminal on the pole and just owning the audience. But then she teaches Destiny how to pole dance.
Yeah, and she's stripped down. Like, I mean,
and it becomes beautiful, and it becomes like this touching moment between the two when you're watching it and you're breaking it down, and then you slowly begin to realize that pole dancing, I mean, yes, there is eroticism involved in it, which when we conclude this episode, we are going to talk about the eroticism of both films, and that is, it's not just erotic, but there's also it's also very beautifully shot and choreographed, where there is a true beauty to this art form, and it just clicks. Showgirls never has that moment where you get the sense of why is it that they want to dance? What is it that they want to strive to be? It's just, it feels more plot driven as opposed to character driven. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's the characters that we care about, that we connect with them. And Showgirls, not so much. We are laughing at them as opposed to with them in Hustlers.
Yeah, oh God, that's a really good point. And I have nothing to say, man. It's just, this movie's so exhausting because, like, it's true. At the end of the day, I was just wishing that, like, it's like seeing a movie, a female say a movie, like, oh God, see, I don't even know how to say it, but, like, it just goes back to, it's the wrong protagonist then. It's like, if you're going to be making a movie from a male point of view, why are you having a woman say it?
Yeah.
You know? And in Hustlers, it's just like, here's the thing, though, like, sometimes you don't really need to know why they're dancing. I don't need to know, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like, in Showgirls, like, I don't need to know why you're dancing, but I need to know more about you in general. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even though that's kind of the point, that she was one of these people that was, like, running away from her past, and she was very, like, closed off from people. She did not speak about her past. She did not say anything. She's very mysterious. That's one weird fucking way of showing that, though. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, if she's mysterious, then shouldn't the plot be about people trying to find out about her throughout the whole thing? Which, even though you did throw that in there a little bit, then why add all this other shit that has nothing to do with anything?
Yeah.
And if your whole point is to say that, well, yeah, life is very random, things happen no matter who you are, okay, cool, then fine, you did that. Mm-hmm. But life isn't that fucking, like, confusing, man. Yeah. Like, like, what the hell?
And I said, as we wrap up this episode, I want to go into let's face it, it was indeed a selling point in Showgirls, and it definitely was a selling point in Hustlers to try to get people into the audience, get the audience in to see this film, and that is the eroticism, and that is, yes, in Showgirls and Hustlers, that there is nudity involved in the film. And
was Hustlers? You didn't see boob.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Like nipples? Like, yes. I saw pasties, but I didn't remember seeing nipples.
No, we did.
Okay.
And we saw backsides, but in Showgirls, you saw everything.
But it was too much.
Yeah. So, like, I'll give an example of when it comes to the eroticism, and that is, Hustlers is erotic. The dance, Jennifer Lopez's dance, is a very erotic dance, and it needs to be
beautiful.
And it needs to be, because not only to get Destiny to want to be her, but to get the men to want her. And it's a beautiful, seductive dance.
It's showing the fact that this woman has been doing this for a while.
And that she has power.
Like, she's that woman at the strip club. Yeah. She's the one that she's the star. People go to, at the end, to see her. Yeah. So it's like, it was perfect.
Yeah, and the confidence that the director, Lorraine Scafaria, had with Jennifer Lopez, that Jennifer Lopez helped direct and choreograph that number. And it's so good because Jennifer Lopez has been in the entertainment business since, at the very least, the late 80s, early 90s, and dancing and music videos and such, that she knows her body.
Yeah, she's not a newbie. Like, like you said, she's, not only is she an actress, she's a singer and dancer, and a lot of her music videos, like, this woman, she's at that age, and she's been in the industry long enough to know her body, to know her audience, to know what people want to see from her. Like, her, So it's like, which is really awesome that you can tell that the director had enough confidence in J-Lo to be like, you know what, boo, you do you. Like, J-Lo trained for 2 months to get this stuff down, because stripping using a pole is not easy. Y'all, a long time ago, I took a pole dancing class. Actually, not that long, a few months ago. I took a pole dancing class. Oh my God. I know, right? Oh, dude. Okay. I, first of all, would never be a good stripper. That stuff is hard. So, like, the stuff that J-Lo did in that movie, it takes strippers years. It takes dancers years to learn that kind of choreography and dance on the pole. And this woman did it in 2 months. Like, holy crap. But, like, the point is that this woman knows her body. She knows how to be able to use it. And
the director's confident in her, in her abilities as an actress to do that.
Exactly. So it's like, and that adds to the confidence of not only J-Lo, but the character, is because, like J-Lo is directing herself to be able to do that. So there's confidence there. And I did not see that with Showgirls. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I just remember one scene when Nomi was on the pole, and that's when
she's licking the pole.
When she's licking the pole, which first of all, yeah, nasty. Like all that stuff. You're not the only one using the pole, ho. Like stop. But anyways, like it was not seductive at all. It's what a man thinks a stripper does who has never been to a strip club. It was like, first of all, I've been to a strip club. Like. I have never in my life seen a stripper make that freaking face. It's like you're doing this move where you hold the pole like with your legs and your arms, but she's doing this like face. I'm like, first of all, are you okay? Do you have cramps? What's going on? Like, what are you doing? That is not sexy. And then like these weird dances, like grabbing her boobs very like drastically and squeezing them, like, no, what are you doing? Like I start laughing because it's like, again, it's not erotic, it's not sexy. Now mind you, there was a few, like if I paused it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty, like, or like very few dance moves where it's like, okay, and that's probably where Elizabeth like herself was coming out probably, but then it stopped because I'm guessing she remembered she's Nomi and started doing this weird flip-flop fishy like move. And the choreographer
doesn't know. I mean, the choreography...
Was there a choreographer for this movie?
Oh, yeah. And the choreography in Showgirls is not good. It isn't.
Okay, well, when we're talking about the show Goddess in Showgirls, I understand that. But I'm strictly talking about the strip club experiences because...
the choreography isn't good there, too.
There was an actual choreographer for this?
Well, yeah, of course.
I need to figure out who this person was and they need to be fired. I mean, like...
Well, it's already over.
Well, they need to be rehired to be fired again.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, though. If there was... Okay, whoever the choreographer was, they needed, I hope it was someone who had stripping experience, and I think they didn't. And that's what Hustlers got right, because they trained J-Lo, and it was an actual pole dancing expert. Someone who knows the industry, someone who knows that this is their field of expertise. Not just a random choreographer. And I'm not saying that, I kudos to choreographers, because like you guys do something so amazing that a lot of people can't do. But if you're going to be making a movie about strippers, get someone who's an expert in that field. And that's why actually J-Lo ended up contacting Cardi B herself for this movie. Because Cardi B, before she became a rapper and became famous with Love and Hip Hop and stuff, she was a stripper. This was her life. This was her, she knew all this stuff.
And it passed the smell test.
Huh? It did. Actually, Cardi B, like, she said that she cried after watching this movie because it reminded her of all the struggles and all the shit she had to go through to become a stripper, that Hustlers got everything right. Not only the hardships and the nastiness that the women had to go through with men being seen as objects, but also the camaraderie and the love and the friendship that she got because of this as well. So it's like, that's amazing. But in Showgirls, it's like they got experts, but not for the right fields. So it's like, if you're going to have someone who choreographs only, I'm not saying this was the case, but like, let's say they only got someone who's really good at tap dancing. Like that's their thing, but they've never done pole dancing, but you got them to choreograph strippers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't work, but
yeah,
I mean, you probably didn't get the right person.
And when it comes to the eroticism of Showgirls, and that is the big thing that happens is that there are, like, by the time when she has when Nomi has sex with Sack's character in the pool,
oh god,
and the scene where Nomi is seducing the rapist, that by that point is when it's like she's seducing and then you see her breast, or when her dress drops down and you see her backside. By that point, we have seen your body it's gotten to the point.
We're desensitized.
Well, yeah, and it's gotten to the point to where I've seen her body so many times. I don't think I've seen my body as much as I've seen her body.
Honey, I'm saying no, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, you actually do really bring a good point, because sometimes the illusion is what's sexy, and I think that's what Showgirls did right. Was that
Hustlers?
Hustlers, sorry.
Hustlers got that so right.
Hustlers got that so right.
Because there's no sex scene in Hustlers, to the best.
No, there's implied,
but we never see it.
But not only that, is that these women, like, there was a few scenes where they started getting, like, when they started doing their hustling stuff. of like bringing men from the back and drugging them or like trying to get them to, you know, give their money out. And they worked as a team, and they were slowly undressing one another, but you never fully saw them for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the leading up to it that was very erotic, very sexy. But with Showgirls, it's like right off the bat, we're gonna see your tits and butt, like, which okay at first, like, okay, first scene, all right, fine, whatever, cute, you have a great body, you worked really hard for it, amazing. But honestly, like, I was so envious of her body. Like, she has a really good body, Elizabeth. But then the next scene, same thing again. Next scene, same thing again. So it's like, now when it comes to the scene where Zach and Nomi are like, she's walking towards the pool and she's undressing herself, the magic is gone. You know, the magic is gone, because like that scene would have worked before the fish flop, but like that scene would have worked if we didn't see her as naked as often.
Yeah.
And
it ends
it's
up
like,
feeling like a collection of R-rated bad music videos. As opposed to a film.
You're right. Like, honestly, like, every time she did that sex part, like, when she's, like, flopping in the pool, all I kept thinking is, like, let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit. So everyone is like, oh, my God, I don't know why I just kept thinking.
Splash, I was taking a bath.
Baby shark, do-do-do-do-do. Baby shark.
Yes. Please do your edits to that,
Oh, my God.
fish flop sex scene. Please set it to Baby Shark. Set it at SOSN Podcast, Twitter, and Instagram.
I can see your face right now. You're like, I want to see this, but I don't at the same time.
It's like, oh gosh.
But no, like, going back to eroticism, like, it's, you know, I said what I need to say. Like, I personally thought in Hustlers, I probably was more turned on than in Showgirls. Mm-hmm. There was probably one part in Showgirls where I was like, oh, damn, okay. I remember the feeling, but I can't tell you the scene.
Yeah, then a character opened their mouth and said something silly, and then...
Oh, actually, you know what? No, I felt more eroticism from Crystal. Mm-hmm. And it's not when she's stripping, it's when she's talking.
When she's looking.
When she has a good glare.
Yeah, Gina Gershon.
Like, she has this great way of looking at you, like, with lust, but hate at the same time. It's like,
but also like, I'm in control.
Yes, and I'm not. That's why I'm saying, like, oh, see, now I remember when I was turned on. It was when it was close-ups of her face.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. Like, I think that's the only good part of the goddamn movie.
Yeah,
and that's the only erotic part.
Legit. Gina Gershon is great and gives a legit great performance in the film. But
she's worth watching.
But yeah, so this will conclude our episode of Something Old, Something New with Showgirls and Hustlers.
Oh, God.
We give shows. The thing is, Showgirls, I mean, both agree, give it a big thumbs down, but we would still recommend it for a good laugh. Hustlers, we give a big thumbs up.
Yes, Hustlers is, if you can still watch it in theaters, go watch it.
Yes.
Because it's honestly just J-Lo's scene alone, the introduction is so, like, it's worth watching on the big screen. And like Showgirls, again, thumbs down, but I recommend get some friends over, make a drinking game out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you see Elizabeth do the John Cena move, take a shot.
You'll be dead by like 30 minutes in or something.
I know, right? But like, it is worth. Again, horrible movie, but I was entertained the whole goddamn time.
And I would repeat what I said in our last episode in our archives with 2001 and Ad Astra, and that is when I said those two films are the reasons why we go see movies. Hustlers is a reason why we go see movies. To get that voice from Lorene, from that cast, it's just absolutely wonderful. But this will conclude our episode, and next week, instead of having two movies, we are actually going to be covering three films. Woo-hoo! That's right. We're going to be covering Martin Scorsese's 1976 Taxi Driver and 1983's release of The King of Comedy, and the latest adaptation from the DC comic universe, Joker.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
Directed by Todd Phillips from The Hangover fame, and with... all three films starring Robert De Niro. So we're going to compare and contrast those three films. So this is David.
And this is Salome.
And we say goodbye.
Goodbye, darlings.